Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Originally, I'd planned a 20+ minute video going through all I had done to reach 470 item level in 2 weeks. Now, 20+ fucking boring minutes of going through that was not good enough for me. So instead, I'll just do a very quick, no bullshit rundown on the different steps that you need to take. Let's go. Step 0. If you aren't boosting your character, make sure to, if available, level a bit through Timewalking dungeons, as they provide you with around a dozen items at 410 item level. Also, keep in mind to unlock world quests. Step 1. Follow the Nazjatar questline up until you create the portal to your capital city, which then unlocks the 8.3 questline, which is your top priority. Quick mention for benthic gear, it's only really an option if you require a big boost to 385 item level, otherwise neglectable and not really worth spending time farming. Step 1.5. First of all, get your reroll tokens from your local Master of Fate, which should be located right next to your Transmogrifier in whichever city you're in. Normally you want to take War Resources or Marks of Honor, by the way. Right next to this place, there should be some turtles sitting around here, providing you with a weekly quest that, well, grants you some gear as well. Normally it's her, right here, Cache of Ny'alotha treasures. This week, complete 5 Timewalking dungeons. Also gives you some Azrael power, really good to do as well. On top of that, you have your Warfront, which is for the Horde right down here. At this table. We don't have a Warfront up right now, but if it is up, you can get a 460 item level piece from a heroic Warfront, the first one that you do from the quest. And on top of that, also, of course, you guys know about that already, the island expeditions right here, which provide you with a good chunk of Azrael power, which in the beginning is actually really good. And they can also give you a mission that grants you Titan Residuum, but more on that later. Step 2. Through finishing the 8.3 questline, you will be rewarded with a level 50 Heart of Azeroth, the legendary cloak, and the unlocking of assaults and dailies in those assault zones, which then also unlock horrific visions, which are required to upgrade your cloak, and depending on the difficulty, also provide you with some good corrupted gear rewards. Now, all of these things should be done whenever they're available, and on top of that, the rare mobs in the assault zone, so for example, Veil of Eternal Blossoms, can drop you 410 to 415 item level gear. And on top of that, also provides you with Coalescing Visions, which is in return required to enter horrific visions that provide you with that corrupted gear, depending on the difficulty, as we already mentioned. Now, step 3, you should be around 410 to 415 item level at this stage, which unlocks Ny'alotha Look for Raid, which gives you 430 to 445 item level pieces. Now, this can be really frustrating, but it's basically free gear on a weekly lockout. You should definitely consider this, especially in your first week. Step 4, Mythic +0 or higher. These give you 430 or higher item level pieces, depending on, of course, which key you're doing and how high it is. Also keep in mind the weekly Mythic Plus chest, very, very important, which grants you a relatively high item level piece, depending on the highest dungeon you completed last week. I would recommend going for either a +7, +12, or +15, depending on, well, which one you can manage, or if you have a friend or a guild that can help you out. Obviously, you want to prioritize getting a +15 each week. Myself, I just did a +12 the first week, and afterwards I did +15s. So this is important, keep this in mind, and always make sure that you have at least a +7 chest done for the week. Step 5, Professions and PvP. Crafting professions can reward you up to 2 470 item level pieces, plus a socket on them. Now that depends on the profession. Some other professions like engineering give you different pieces. For me, it was boots and pants. I grinded around 180 Expulsum by just killing monkeys in a circle, but if you want a more extended guide on this, because you also need to craft different stages of the Void Focus, and that takes a lot of time. So make sure to check the guide down below, which you can also find on Wowhead. Now for PvP specifically, make sure to reach 1 conquest cap a week to get 2 445 pieces, 1 from the cap itself and 1 from the PvP chest. Now if you're a real PvP fanatic and you just want to grind out arenas or rated battlegrounds for that matter, you can get, well, theoretically 460 plus item level pieces in your first week. That requires a lot of grinding and basically eliminates all of the other avenues, because this requires a lot of time and obviously a lot of skill to get to that rating fairly quickly, and just to fill multiple conquest bars at a time to catch up to the 460 item level items and higher. Again, takes dedication, but it's definitely possible. Now for our final step 6. This is very organic, higher difficulties of Mythic Plus and Ny'alotha, and on top of that also Mythic Eternal Palace if your spec needs any items out of the first 4 bosses. This is very important, obviously, and very obvious, but it's very, very important to mention, because a lot of people just stop caring after a while and just sit at a 450 gear score and don't know how to advance further without really putting a lot of effort in. But this is what you kind of need to do. Try to knock out at least a plus 12 or plus 15 Mythic Plus every week at this stage, and also, depending on what you still need, a normal and heroic Ny'alotha. Also good to mention, by the way, the first 3 bosses of Mythic Ny'alotha are actually quite easy, so if you need any gear from those, knock them out and get that gear. Now, as mentioned before, there's one more thing here, which is Titan Residuum, which you mainly gain through your weekly Mythic Plus chest. This will take around a week or 2 until you can actually, well, put them into good use. Depending on your gear situation, waiting until you can gamble for 1 480 Azerite piece is definitely recommended. Now, I hope this was helpful. If you have anything to add or questions to ask, feel free to comment down below. Thank you for watching, and until then, goodbye.